Hello, everyone. I want to begin by asking you a question. Have you ever thought you healed something maybe years ago, only to have it come roaring back at the worst possible moment? Maybe you've been doing fine and then out of nowhere, someone says something or you face a challenge, and suddenly that old wound is speaking louder than anything else. If that's happened to you, I want you to know this. You are not broken for feeling this way. You are human. And I think this is really absolutely amazing when I put this because I asked for this particular idea and it came and I had a conversation with a woman who's going to come on and we were talking about emotional healing. And what was interesting about this, and I was talking to my business partner about this also earlier, that when my father passed away, an old wound showed up. And when I was talking to this woman and my partner, the one business partner, the one thing that I mentioned was that for some reason, when we have emotions, we have to heal those emotions, and we may not always know what those emotions are. And it's usually something that triggers us. Now, I felt hopelessness for the first time, probably when I was younger, when my father had beat me. I probably felt that hopelessness, but I don't think I felt it to the degree that I felt it when my mother passed. And I thought I got through this. And then I felt it again when my father died. Now I'm moving, I'm happy, life is good. And all of a sudden, this emotion comes up of hopelessness. Why do I want to be here? I just assume die. The suicidal tendencies show up. And it really freaked me out for that 6 months from April to September. When I was talking to this woman who's going to be coming on the show in April, she and I talked about the emotional healing, and it's a cycle that we spiral. Okay, we spiral and we don't know that we have these things. And even though I have been moving through whatever this was, and I never gave it a lot of precedence, um, because it was not something that was very strong in my repertoire. But what was the most interesting thing about when I had this feeling and realizing that we're tied to people and we don't break what holds us tethered to this earth until we face it. So when I say be here now, be present, know what's going on in your mind, there's a reason I say that. But it goes deeper than that because now there's this emotional healing that you need to deal with. So here's this word hopelessness, which is one of the god awfulest feelings in the world, in my personal opinion. I understand why people commit suicide when they feel that, because every time I feel hopeless, I don't want to live. And it's a tough emotion to work through and navigate. I sat with it. I was with it. Everything was triggering me when my father first passed away. I can't tell you how many times I threw Sal out of the house. I threw everyone out of the house because I was on a rapid fire triggering of everything about my father, which then led into that hopeless feeling that I was in. And what I discovered, that even though I reached out when I had these suicidal tendencies and I got a lot of clarity, not that many people reached back. And Spirit told me it's because you need to navigate this. It's you need to understand and show people how to get out of this. Now, I didn't have full clarity yet. I have a little bit more clarity probably in the last several days about it. But what I understand about it now is I needed to navigate it. I needed to understand that we are tethered to this planet through our emotions. There's so much information about how our brain works, how we create drama, we create stories, we watch movies because it's how the brain works. We get involved in our stories. We make stuff up all the time. And part of breaking free and breaking from the shackles of this planet is about being present, being here now. It's also about facing those emotions, going into the depths of hell of you, and find those emotions where they came from and break them. And I think that's the main thing about this one with hopelessness, because my question is always asking, what else do I need to see that is keeping me bound to the earth, that is not allowing things to flow freely or have as much as I want at the moment? I get a lot of information. I do everything that spirit tells me to do. And I just keep getting this feeling that I'm still not seeing something. And when my father died, there was a big change. I mean, I was not in control. I did not know this feeling was gonna come up. I did not know I was going to have the feelings I had. Yeah, there's grief, but grief is so different when it was with my parents for some reason. And I get it, they're my parents. But this grief was so different, everything. And I think what I came to the realization of this was the breaking of, both our parents. I mean, my parents gave me hopelessness. I mean, I learned it from them. And so I took on the male, I took on the feminine aspects of what hopelessness is. And so taking that on, learning about it, and then having to rediscover that it was something that was lying very dormant, but finding it again so I can release it. It's I don't know how to really describe this, but it felt that when I owned it and I sat there with this feeling for several months in the space in between of where I was and where I'm going. And, we have to accept those spaces in between because we're navigating. I was breaking more patterns, more chains, more shackles, more everything when my father died. There's a freedom that I received in September when I stood on that stage about my story coming out about my father, about the depth of the pain and the abuse that I incurred as a child, the full remembrance of what happened. And I think when I talked about this spiral of where it came from and the shock that I was in, because I was really shocked by this, because I always thought that if you're moving forward and you're doing all the things that I was doing, you wouldn't have these feelings that come up out of nowhere. And this came up out of nowhere. In my opinion, this came up out of nowhere. And I didn't really tie it 100% to the death of my father. But what was happening is that our body holds memories, our cells hold memories. It's in my energetic field, and I think when my father left, because he had such a hold on me that I didn't know that he had a hold on, but he had a hold on me, that when he died and I could start feeling the cords being removed because he's no longer physically embodied, they're removing from me. And I think when I felt that is like that's when more stuff bubbled up. And because it bubbled up, and I didn't know it or understand it yet because this is a whole new experience, but I also know there's a freedom that came with it as too when I got on the other side. Because we're supposed to be of the earth, not in the earth, so to speak, not in the drama, in the chaos of everything that's going on. Because if you want to save yourself, I'm telling you, you've got to get rid of being attached to everything. Because the more I've detached from myself, my story, my head trash, all of that stuff, the more I detached, the freer I became. And the more freedom that I feel, the more liberation that I feel, the more the cash is flowing towards me because I'm not stopping it. To me, this is huge. Okay. And I know there's going to be a lot more that I probably unravel in the book that I'm writing. But I think that's what we have to do because it was a wound that needed to finish speaking and it wasn't fully done. And we can't always do it. And this is beyond the onion. Okay. I know that we talk about the onion. And I think when you first start waking up and you're doing it, you're going further, you're taking a layer, another layer, another layer, another layer. But there's a point where you get to the core of the onion and then you start going deeper. And when you're going deeper, you're going further into the essence of you. It's no longer the garbage that you put on, that you created, the mask that you put on. Once all that's off, there's a rawness about you that you don't even know is there. And because you don't know this person, you go deeper and you're going deeper into you, into what the truth is. Not anybody else's truth, your truth, because your truth is generally universal truth once you understand that. And I think what I'm finding by doing this is that I had to open up and realize that I am untethering. And I know that Charlie Kirk's death has made a profound impact. It certainly moved me. And there's a lot of stuff that I'm finding that there might be a lot of conspiracy around. There's something I actually saw something, I didn't really look into it, that he may not have really died. I don't know, don't care. All I know is that it put me in somewhat of a tailspin about the world, where we're going, what this meant, moving agendas. Is it really the end times? I mean, is this the book of Revelations finally coming? I mean, I went down the rabbit hole on this. And I decided I wasn't going to continue going down the rabbit hole. I decided I was just going to keep doing me. Whatever that is, keep working towards what I want to do, keep spreading the word, keep opening and sharing what I'm doing and where I'm going. So I continued to keep building this community that it's about ready to launch. I think I've got all the collateral done, all the videos are done. I think all I have to do now is just sign up for it and I'm ready to go. So, of course, another learning curve, but that's okay because I think I just keep getting this is so important that we start creating those communities where like minded people come together that we share. Because what I'm finding when I've interviewed people, because starting next month for the next 3 months, I'm going to have guests on my show. I might do one show a month solo. I haven't decided on that. I scheduled for it, but I think I've also filled it up on other months. And I decided that I'm going to try 3 months on with guests and 3 months off with guests and just see how that works. And the guests that I have been meeting are so amazing and have done some of the deepest, hardest work. And that's what I want is to bring those gut-wrenching life experiences that they clawed their way out, that they had to take full responsibility for their thoughts, words, actions, and deeds, that they had to learn something, that this is it. It's that they're trying to untether and build something new and be a better person. And then they watch that maybe if they don't have it in this lifetime, at least their children are finding their voice and standing up and setting boundaries. To me, that is huge. That if we don't get what we want, at least the next generation has a little bit more of a fighting chance to survive instead of God knows what's coming. That's why it's so important to always ask, what is it that you need to see? What is it else that you need to do? What's going on in your life that needs to continually grow? Because I'm always wanting to expand. I know the higher I go, that means the deeper I go too. So I can uncover everything. And it's not easy. This is not easy work. This is really, really difficult work to do. But I do it anyways because I find peace. And that's the one thing I did not have in my life was peace. And I didn't have freedom in my life because I was always looking over my shoulder, wondering who's going to get me. And when you have a perpetrator for a father who's lusting after you, guess what? You don't feel safe. And now that I'm feeling safe and understanding the illusion and understanding, you know, more excuse me, of what my father did, but it was also what I agreed to. Because when he died, I could see my mother and I sitting at the table, the conference table in the heavens, so to speak, signing a contract that this is what we were going to do. I own that. Regardless of the fact that I spent my entire life saying I would never do this to myself. And yes, I did. And I did it. And I'm glad I did it because of where I am today. Yes, it was a lifetime, but it's okay because see, now I know who I am. Now I understand where I'm going and what my purpose is. And I have clarity. So even though I asked my whole life, why am I here? And I always got the same answer of why I'm here. It never made sense fully because there was such a large disconnect between me and why I was here. And when I came into alignment, when I discovered my why of wanting to feel safe and creating safety for others, is when those two sides came together to where I was finally unified. I was in alignment, body, mind, soul, spirit, heaven and earth, grounded. It's taken time to really bring all of this in, and it's okay. I'm granting myself that time, but I'm being with this. And as I get more comfortable with this, because, this is like, I don't know who I am. Some days I'm like, who the hell are you, girl? I mean, I look the same. Things are still the same in areas, but it's like my thinking's changed. The way I feel's changed. The way I'm experiencing life is changing in good ways. So I'm putting on like a new coat, so to speak. I mean, didn't I do a meditation about taking off the old coats and then finding you inside and what's there? Where's your light? And I think that's what it is. And the more comfortable I get, the more I feel like I'm expanding my light out because of the content that I'm starting to bring out, the people that are coming towards me to come on the show to go into the depths of hell and talk about what their hell experience was and how they got on the other side. Because there are so many people, you included, that are struggling, that are wearing the mask, that's suffering in silence, that doesn't know which way to go, that's terrified of what's coming, that may not have enough money at the end of the month. So what you're doing, instead of withdrawing, you need to expand out. I know that it looks grim. There's a lot of things that are saying, and you know what? I keep saying it doesn't have to be my world. And it's not going to be my world. I'm going to keep coming out and lean into this and find solutions to help people find their way back to themselves. That's not ever going to change. I've been doing this my whole life, just not with my mouth, not like this, and not on the scale that I'm on. I have been given awards for Transformational Coach of the Year. I have been invited to come to big platforms to speak lately. And it was almost like the day after I came out of this book launch in September, all of a sudden it's like all this recognition is coming towards me. And I'm like, where did this come from? And I think it's because I finally let my light shine that people are seeing it. But it took a while for it to come to me because I had to embrace it. I had to own it. I had to bring it in instead of holding it out here in front of me. When I was on that stage talking to the group of what the message I would give to Jane, my avatar. And I said, you don't have to suffer in silence anymore, but you have to reach out. I'm reaching to you, trying to take your hand, but if you don't give it back and return it, I can't help you. You have to take the chance. You have to trust who you are. You have to trust somewhere. If you want your life to change, you have to go through the fire. I did. I can't tell you how many tens of thousands of dollars that I have spent in the last, what, 3 to 4 years to get to where I am, and every penny was worth it. Did that particular program no work? Not necessarily. It did to a certain point, but I needed to go to the next one, to the next one, to where now I don't need that because I know how to get to where I am, but sometimes you need a little bit of guidance. But the main thing for me was I had to reach out. If I didn't reach out, nobody would be able to help me. So all I can do is bring this to you. That's why I'm building the communities that maybe you'll feel safer coming out and reaching, being around like-minded people like you to come in and feel that safe haven, because it's called the spiritual, the I am the light sanctuary is what I'm calling it. And it's about spirituality, empowering yourself, and living free, where we're going to talk about we're going to have the healing products with the essential oils and CBD and meditations and courses and classes and prosperity, to where the money stuff that I'm also doing is coming there. It's all going to be in a community that whatever you need, I am going to do my best to fill and give you what you need. I have so many tools, and I have done nothing but build and build and build this stuff and get it ready. And so I know that it's not, some of them may not completely be done, but I'm going to move it in there and say coming soon, or start building it and can keep moving forward towards it as I go. So it's there. So there's something there for everyone. I mean, I can talk about a lot of things. And that's what I wanted to talk about, is that we have to release our pain. We have to face our pain. We have to re-experience it. And even though it's not fun, it's our emotions. Our emotions are what's tied to this earth. It's our emotions that we create all of our impressions of our life. And if we can gain control of what those emotions are and just detach and just look at it as an emotion, not right, wrong, good or bad, it's just what is. That's what's going to save you. And I had to live through this the way I did to understand this. And I think this hopelessness, thinking it was over when my mother passed, and then my father passed, and 2 months after he dies, I'm sitting here going, I don't want to live. I feel like there's no hope. This world's falling apart. And I went right back down this rabbit hole. And I'm sitting there for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months going, where did this come from? And about 2 days ago is when I realized where it came from. It's been lurking inside of me for a very long time, that needed to have the light on. And to find that one, I mean, this feels even freer. Like all of a sudden I feel like my house is cleaner. I'm cleaner. Everything looks cleaner because I keep asking. Whatever darkness I still have that's not right or in alignment, let me see it so I can change it, and then lean into it. You don't have to do any of this alone. That's the thing. I did it alone, so I can guide you through it. It's a truth for me that I know and I understand. And if it doesn't work for you, then I'm meeting other people that I can send to you. It's not competition. I don't believe in competition. I remember when I did a book's launch. Well, you need to go to your competition. Who's your competition? I said, my competition is everybody who comes on my show. But they're not competition. We're working together. We're talking together. We're supporting each other. It's not competition. And I'm going to keep doing it because I don't care. Because we need to spread the word. We need to shine our light. We need to bring light back to the planet. We need to bring our power back to the planet. We have been enslaved too long. And I'm talking about your enslavement up here, what you do to yourself. It's not about what the governments are doing or the conspiracy theorists that are out there. It's what we're doing to ourselves up here. It's what we're doing here. It's what we speak. We create our own prisons. And it's time for us to stop creating prisons for ourselves. You can put anybody in a prison. I mean, you might have people that are physically in prison, but they're still in prison up here. And you're no different than the person in the prison if you're still in prison up here. So I want to thank you for joining me today. And I do have the light activation guide on the Kathleen M. Flanagan site, and I do have more services and coaching that if you wanted to have a 15-minute free conversation with me to see if we could work together, or if you want to just get some help, I am more than happy to talk to you. I don't do strong sales pitches. I don't do any of that. It's like, if you want to work with me, that's fine. Otherwise, I don't care. I don't play that game. But I do have a lot of tools in my arsenal. I know how to help you. I know how to help you navigate through things. The question is, are you willing to do it? But with the light activation guide, it's one little simple step that you just start taking a baby step, that you start thinking differently, doing things a little differently. That's all you have to do. Sometimes just getting up 15 minutes early to spend that time with you, or starting a morning routine or journaling. It doesn't matter. Just do one little thing to start the change, because it will change the trajectory of your life. And it will start out beautifully, easy, not so hard. And then as you keep moving and evolving, it might get a little more difficult, but it doesn't have to be. At least you don't have to navigate it alone. There's help all around, always. So I want to thank you for joining me. This is Kathleen Flanagan with the Journey of an Awakening Spirit, and I will see you all next week, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye for now.